What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue. I'm your host, Brett. Chris is not here. I got Matt, Double Deuce, and we have Tanner the Head. We have our show partners, Elite Nutrition Omaha. Check them out at elitenutritionomaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout, or you can go to the store and yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
Now, that doesn't work at both locations, right, in case someone's confused?
No, I'm sure he'll give you one.
Does he follow the podcast?
I don't know.
So Tanner does have a franchise location on 132nd and Center. So you can go there, but if you go and you won't see Tanner's head there.
But it would be great if more and more people just went in there and started yelling B3. Yeah. He's like, what the
What's
fuck
that guy's name? I've met him before, and I feel about Jason. There you go.
Yep.
Felt bad I couldn't remember his name. I wanted to say John for some reason.
Good guy, great store. Yeah, if you're over in the area, you stop by. Yell B3. If he doesn't give you a free shaker, you can, hit him in the nuts.
There you go. And just say, punch him in the dick and say, you know what you did.
Take a bottle and walk off.
We also have Rosewood Block. They make the best cutting boards and barbecue. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% there as well. All right. Also, if you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, share, follow. We're on all the major audio platforms and on the YouTubes if you really want to look at us, because we're just trying to make everybody a little less shitty every day.
We look pretty good on the camera, too.
We do. It's not bad. The lighting's nice.
Yeah.
The lighting is nice.
Yeah. I think our backdrop is entertaining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Matt and I had a work meeting yesterday without Tanner.
They were discussing firing me.
Yeah, we're just, who can we bring in? No, but some people have seen, there's a skate deck in the back by Tanner, and it says personal excellence is real American freedom. I wear some of the hats, and Matt and I were kind of talking about it because he's doing 75 hard, and people have asked me what it is. And if you don't know, we've talked about Andy Frisella a decent amount on this podcast. He did create 75 hard. He has the Real AF podcast. He owns First Form. I've tried to message him to get him on the podcast, but the idea of that whole thing, like Matt and I were talking about, and that's what Andy had kind of said, that being personally excellent is the best rebellion you can have. You being able to take care of yourself is real. That's real freedom. Like, you're not really free if you're constantly relying on someone else to do something for you. So, taking care of yourself, setting your own goals and your own agendas of what you're going to do. And it doesn't have to be just like financial. It could be health related. It could be work related or entrepreneurial, related if you're trying to do something. But being, and he's posted it before, and it's that whole, they want you to be fat, be in shape. They want you to be poor, be wealthy. They want you to be dumb, be smart. And I think it's a cool message. He uses the buffalo because the buffalo will historically run towards a storm, or towards adversity, where a lot of animals will run from a storm. A buffalo will run head first.
Do whatever they want.
Yeah, they'll run head first into a storm.
Well, that's because it'll pass if you run into it. If you run away from it, it's going to catch you.
Yeah,
it's going to drag on the slow.
Yeah, running away, and that's a good, like running away from the problem is not going to fix it.
Nope, it'll catch you.
Yeah.
And you won't be prepared. If you're running into it, at least you know what you're going to get into.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of a cool message, and that's why, like I said, that's why I have that. That's why he's done like 3 different drops of his apparel and stuff, and I think I've gotten something off of all 3 of them. I even got my dog a bandana that has the logo on it. I mean, he's not necessarily always personally excellent, but he's pretty good most of the time.
He's trying, though. He's working on it.
Yeah. 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 What are your thoughts on it, Matt?
Yeah, I really like that idea. We talked yesterday. It kind of sums up a lot of ideas that I think I've had in different books and concepts that I've pulled into. But just wrapping it up in that personal excellence brand, because it's something that you can own. And that's something to myself, kind of looking at how people act. Like, when you go to the store, there's people in there who just look like shit, right? And that, regardless of what kind of financial situation you have, type of clothes you could actually buy, but you can just simply put in effort to having a better appearance, to taking care of your house, right? How many people live by houses that just look like shit, right? That's just a pure effort thing. Just effort of being a little bit better and taking care of something is kind of all that stuff that I wrap up into that personal. It's something you have 100% control over.
So when I did some mission work in Guatemala, we were building houses for them, and we were building houses with cement floors. the houses that they had were dirt floors. And even all day long, you would see these ladies sweeping out their house of dirt floors. Like, it's a dirt floor, but they wanted to, it was theirs, and they wanted to take care of it.
Yeah.
So they're taking care of it as much as they possibly could. And you get to see the effort. And once again, like personal excellence, like it's also not being like independence. You know, like if you're unhealthy, just think about some of these people that are so unhealthy that they're on all these meds to keep them alive, for blood pressure, for blood sugars, for whatever. Like, you're not independent. If anything if that industry goes away, or if something bad happens, you're self-reliant. You don't have any, like, you're screwed.
Right. Yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah. And it's not like a anti-government, you know, that's not even, I mean, you can think everybody has their own thoughts on that, but it doesn't even have to be about that. It's just yourself in general. Like,
yes.
Being self-sufficient and I'm not saying you have to like live off the land, like, you know, something like that, but like being able to manage your life yourself.
Right.
I think like where I kind of joke around, like everyone should be like on their way to prepper. Like you should just be able to take care of yourself. You know, like Matt, you're on your way to taking care of yourself. Like if like you have eggs, you have meat that you raise yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you are physically capable to lift things or to walk if you can't walk 2 city blocks, you're screwed. You're no longer self-reliant. Like, you're relying on everyone else. You're relying on technology. So I think that personal excellence thing is also just being freaking able to do things for yourself without having to depend on anybody else. And that's money or whatever.
And it's totally independent to the individual. Like, your level of whatever excellence you could get to today is like what you're going to get to today. So like, push that level today. And then tomorrow you could push that level a little bit more. Are you always going to move forward? No. I mean, it's just like training, right? And like we've talked about in conjugate, like it's just the best you can do that day.
Yep.
Right. So as long as you're doing the best you can do that day, like sometimes you're going to have super shitty days and like nothing goes right and you just want to fucking destroy everything and just drink a bunch of booze. And sometimes that happens, right? But again, you're just one day away from like stepping back on that excellent
We're like
train.
12 days from that happening and again.
Less than 17 days. 16
17
days.
days,
yeah. From the fucking shit train going on. But yeah, so it's independent to the day, right? But it's also independent to you. Like, my level of what I deem excellence and what I'm striving for is probably different than you, probably different than everyone out there. No, I think us, is particular in this room, like, we have a lot of commonalities of what we're striving for, which was what brings us together. And so you can find groups of people to help support you down that path, but like, you don't have to look at someone else and be like, oh fuck, well look what they're doing. Like, Jocko and is working out at fucking 4:30 in the morning. Like, everyone wants to do that because it's cool. Well, that fucking works for him, right? Like, his sleep schedule, whatever he's got going on, like, he can fucking do that shit. Most people can't go to bed at fucking 10:30, get up, get after it at 4:30 and just go all day. Like, it's just not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that you can't still strive for that personal excellence and get better and push yourself and just sharpen your skills.
And that's, you know, I tell clients all the time, you know, not every day is awesome. You're not going to have the best workout every time. And I learned that a long time ago as a trainer, because you would feel like, oh, am I not doing like what I'm supposed to do? Am I not doing my job with that person? But the human body's weird. You're just not going to have every day is going to be awesome. But that doesn't mean you just give up on it. Like, have you ever seen that it's like not like a cartoon strip or whatever, where the guy's digging and he's like, oh, I'm just going to give up. And it's like another like 2 feet and there's like a treasure chest full of gold, you know, or whatever it is. Like there's going to be adversity and ups and downs, and no matter like what you're doing, but like persevering through it. And like, that's like with Andy's logo, like the buffalo. I mean, that buffalo will persevere and push through anything. I mean, except for when it almost went extinct there. But I mean, other than that, but yeah, just the idea to keep moving forward, no matter what it is. But sometimes, I will say this: make sure what you're trying to do is realistic. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like your immediate goal. Like, you might have an unrealistic goal, or like right now today, I've been like, hey, I'm going to step on the stage at Olympia.
Yeah,
cool, that could be a goal, but like, you have to set the small goals between there and realize. I think what you're getting is like, realize that sometimes, like for me to play in the NBA.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
not gonna happen.
But you know, if you were a big NBA like fan, just because you couldn't play doesn't mean you couldn't be part of the NBA.
Right, couldn't be part of the NBA, couldn't still be.
So just setting the right goals.
Yeah.
You know,
Fair.
Don't undercut yourself. You know, also you and I talked about Ed Milet's book, The Power of One More, and I've kind of said that for a long time. Like, there's a lot more to like, and it goes like the mental toughness stuff, like in Andy's other book, like the power of positive thinking is like tremendous. And I don't think people give it near enough credit of like your, especially in lifting, like your mind body connection. Like if you tell yourself something's heavy, it's going to be heavy. It's going to feel like shit a lot of times. You know what I mean? And that's like Ed Milet's book. Like, can you do one more? Just tell yourself one more. And if you always have the idea that you could never do something, if you constantly tell your subconscious you're not going to do something, you'll never do it. And you'll never physically be able to do it because you've already talked yourself out of it. So I think that stuff is also huge.
You said something about buffalo going extinct.
Mm-hmm.
And personal, like self-reliance, personal excellence. The actual reason that the buffalo almost went extinct is because the government killed them all to starve the natives out. They killed
the actual or traditional American bison did go extinct, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, there are only 2 herds in North America that actually are 100% bison.
Okay. Wait, isn't there? Because buffalo is actually from somewhere else, right? Isn't bison the American, but isn't buffalo?
Buffalo's like a water buffalo.
Yeah, so it's actually like a different origin completely, isn't it? The buffalo itself.
I think so. The American bison is different. I don't know why they got called a buffalo. If it was just like the Indians got called Indians because they thought they were in India, but they weren't.
Yeah, we got to get. I talked about. I knew somebody who might want to be our fact checker.
Okay.
And he knew I was talking about him, so we got to get our Filipino fact checker in here one of these days. So he can be looking it up for us. He knows who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's something a lot of people should examine in their life. And just being like I said, just being the personal excellence of being as good as you can be. Like we've talked about before, like if it's not hard to like put a shopping cart back or pick up like Matt and I were talking. If I go in a like a public restroom and there's a paper towel on the floor, I'll pick it up with another paper towel or before I wash my hands. Unless that trash is like overflowing, then that's like not my deal. You know what I mean? But just doing stuff like that or putting like, somebody put a hamburger in the fucking cereal aisle because they decided they didn't want it. Like taking it back to the freezer.
Or you're walking from your car to put your cart away and there's someone else they're just finished unloading their cart. Hey, can I take that for you?
Right.
Yeah, and you don't have to like take a picture of it for Instagram.
No.
And and here's the other thing too is, if you're weird, you don't have to take that person's card either. Like if you're kind of a shy person, I'm not saying you have to go out and do that either, but at least take your own shit back.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can do nice things. Like it's not that hard.
Seeing people not put their cart back, just like push it off to the side. I just want to go over there and like punch their windows out and just, it's one of those things, like one of those, like, I think it should annoy all of us to see people do that. But there's some things that really aren't that big of a deal. But for some reason in you just like get you super pissed at people not putting their cart back. Like when I see them not do it, just fucking makes me so mad. Just unreasonably mad.
So when you're talking about goals and setting reasonable goals, I think people need to work on setting like SMART goals, like we've all seen the acronym, because having a goal that's unattainable just leads to failure
And discouragement.
Yep. And having someone, and that's also having good people around you to tell you, hey, if I came up and I told you, hey, I want to bench 500, you'd be like, maybe you should try 450 first. You know what I mean? Okay, that doesn't mean you're discouraging me from getting there, but there has to be a realistic expectation that for me to go from 435 to 500 at 45 years old, it's probably not super realistic, or it's going to take some time. Yeah. Like it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not 25 years old anymore.
There's certain things that at certain times, I'm not saying infinitely, but the odds of them happening at a certain point in your life are probably not going to happen.
They're pretty freaking low.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I can't work towards it. Yeah. But if I can say, hey, I want 450 from 430, that's more reasonable. I can start working towards it. I can start doing things to try and increase that.
It's like win the battles before you try to go to war.
Yes.
That's a big part of it too. Everybody wants us to go to war, but there's some battles that need to happen before.
Well, when I have clients come in like, well, I want to lose 100 pounds. I said, do you know what you have to do first? Lose 1. Okay, you got to lose 1 first.
Well, that's that old cliche. A journey of 1,000,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yes, that's just what you have to do. You have to start at it, and that doesn't mean your goal can't change. And being realistic with yourself, also helps. But I think, especially if you're younger or if you have a dream, I mean, dream big, like dream freaking huge. But understand that just because you're dreaming huge doesn't mean there's a lot of little dreams that have to happen in between. And that's just time and effort and consistency. And maybe there is a day, maybe I'm 50 and I do bench 500. I don't freaking know. But if I don't start on it now, that'll never happen. It's not possible. I'm not going to magically do it. It's not going to accidentally happen.
Well, yeah, and having a dream and then trying to compare yourself to some, Instagram influencer who's rich at whatever age. But wasn't it like Colonel Sanders? Didn't he not like get rich? And he was like in his 60s or 70s, wasn't he, with KFC? Like some of those guys who never got successful till like later in life.
I tell my kids this because they're in that age. They're 25 to 11. There's 6 of them. There are a lot of them. They're like, well, so and so makes $1 million. Like, I went to school with a kid that he lived in at that point in time, like a $500,000 house. It was when I was 21. That was a mansion. Like
that's huge then, yeah.
That was mansion,
especially in the Neolithic era where you were
right.
living. Yeah,
I know. Like that was a hell of a cave he had, man. But if you went inside his house, he had lawn furniture.
Oh, he was house poor.
Well, he drove a very nice BMW, right? And then he was bankrupt, and he's been bankrupt like 3 or 4 times. Like the guy hustles, but he can't. Like that's what you have to worry about when you're looking at social media. You only see highlights. No one shows you. Oh, you remember that time I lifted for a month and everything sucked. Like no one posts those videos,
right?
Like it was like, you know what? I just feel really crappy today. My head's not in it. I mean, some people do, but most people are only posting the good shit. Like most people don't post failures. Yeah,
100%.
So when you compare your every minute life to someone's highlight reel, it's never going to hold up. No. It's never going to hold up.
Same thing if you posted your highlight reel.
Yeah,
it's always the looking the best. No one puts up the shitty outfit they tried on first before they found the one they were going to wear. You know what I mean? They're like, God, look how fucking stupid I look in this outfit. And then they're like, oh, but look at this one.
Yeah. They just show ball in.
We, a church in Amber would go to a while back, they brought Michael Franzesen, and he was a capo in the Colombo crime family. And he wrote a book, I Quit the Mob and Lived. And if you watch any mob documentary, which I love mob documentaries, he's usually on a lot of them. And he wrote another book for business called "I'll Make You an Offer You Can't Refuse." Shocker, that was the name of it.
Weird.
But he laid out how the mob was basically a business, right? You had your president, vice president, which was your boss, your underboss, your workers, and all that stuff. But one big thing he said is that everybody in business, and I think also in friendships, you need your consigliere, and that's a person who has no loss or gain based on helping you make decisions. So sometimes you need that friend that's like, no, you look like a fucking idiot in that outfit, or no, how about you try to bench 430 before you try to bench 450? You know what I mean? Having one of those honest friends that's actually in it for your well-being. You know what I mean? It isn't trying to be better than you. Like, oh, I'm going to tell him not to bench 450 because I'm going to bench 450 first. And I always thought that was kind of a smart way when you put that out there. Like, have someone who has no monetary in business. In business is different. Somebody has no monetary gain from a plus or minus, whether they help you with the decision. And I think, like I said, I think friends need those too. Like, a lot of times it can be your wife. They'll tell you if you're fucking stupid or not, and that's great.
That's kind of default, though.
Yeah, right. But the friendship one is super important, because if I look back at how I have evolved over the years, that there's almost a direct one-to-one correlation with the people I've surrounded myself with. Like the higher caliber individuals that I've surrounded myself with, who are either doing or wanting to do the same things that I've done from an accomplishment standpoint or a drive standpoint, the better quality life I've had and the more success I've had because of that. Because you don't have those distractions. And again, not that we don't sit around and tell dick jokes all the time. It's not all go, but you want people who have a drive. If that's what you're doing, find people who are like that and hang around them, because you'll feed off of each other. And what's really cool is when you're in the group where you feel not like the least accomplished, but like you're just like you're like, holy shit, these people
You're
are
on the
fucking
way up.
awesome. Yeah, like these people have kind of like made it, and you're trying to catch them to an extent. Like that's a really, really fucking cool group to be part of because you have so much that you can learn.
And if you're in a group where you feel like maybe you're, I don't even know how to say it.
The upper echelon of the group.
Yeah. Or maybe you've surrounded yourself with people to make you feel better. Maybe that's a better way to say it. You probably need to change your group.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been there before. I know I've been there before.
Well, and I said as you grow older, and if you want to be, more personally excellent or you want to be better, your friend group, you're going to start to sort it out real fast. You're going to start to have people like, I'm not saying you have to dislike them, but you're going to have people that you're not going to necessarily spend as much time with. But it's hard to, as you learn to go, like, just sort through the people that are being honest with you or just like don't want you to be more successful and be the successful person in the friend group. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, you shouldn't do that. You'll never make it doing that. Like, but why? Because you're not?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. I just feel like I've done a really good job of getting all those people out of my life.
Right. Yeah.
And you will. Your friend circle, people are like, oh, I only have like 4 friends. Great, man.
Yeah.
If I have 4 friends that are fucking millionaires and I'm like chasing them, like as far as like business, that's great. That's who I want to chase.
Yeah.
Right.
If I have 4 friends that you can trust and just
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's friends like you could say capital F friends, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's like your small, like almost like family. And then you have friends, which is that next circle, then the acquaintances, and then like the rest of the human population.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you can't be friends with your
Right,
buddy
like
who maybe never did a whole lot in life, or
Right.
maybe they, can never keep a job, or so, you know what I mean. But like,
They're always
you
there for you.
where
Yeah.
they're always a friend to you, they're always honest to you, but you and them both know where they're at, and you're both fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But eliminating that other stuff and like having that differentiation between like, these are the people I can count on, and it should be a really small group, 4 or 5, maybe 6 people who are the joke, you call them and be like, hey, I need a shovel and a tarp.
Yeah.
Cool. No questions. They're just there. Right. And then you have other friends who like, again, you go hang out with them. It's nothing like they're not valuable to your life, and it's not like they don't add to your life, but it's at a different level, right? You don't have that same kind of connection with them, and that's totally fine. And you shouldn't have a shit ton of people in your inner circle that are like your go-to trust people.
Because then you have nobody.
Right. Then you don't have a trust. Like you don't have anyone that you can really go to. And so, yeah, I think that's really like your tribe, I guess is probably the better word. But have you guys read The Way of Men?
No, you've told me, but didn't you make the football team read it or something like that, or you gave them all?
I give it when I coached kids, when I coached the youth teams, any of the kids that graduated high school, I gave them The Way of Men and How to Win Friends and Influence People were like the 2 books I gave them, and was like, you guys need to read these. And the few of them that actually read The Way of Men were like, holy shit, this thing's real, because it goes through and it kind of defines your tribe, and like your tribe is your chosen family. Like they're the people who you would do, like if you had to give up some of your success to make them better, like you'd be willing to do that because you're like, they mean that much to me. I'm going to give them something from me to them to boost them up, because either down the road they're going to do the same thing, or that were the tables turned, they would do that. And so yeah, you can go through and kind of define that, but it is a really good job of putting that into scope of kind of defining those different rings and circles,
And making sure that you have people around you that aren't jealous. I think that's the.
Well, that's kind of, the people try to hold you back. Well, they'll be like, no, you don't want to do that. That'll never work, because they don't want you to jump ahead of them or be better than them or whatever they think is happening.
And I think everyone has. I mean, everyone's been jealous. Everyone's been jealous of somebody else. And as long as you recognize that, hey, oh, you know what? I mean, that's kind of an intrusive thought. You have to be able to recognize that. Some people can't.
It's almost like, I don't know if there's a differentiation between like jealousy and envy. Maybe because I agree. Like
I think envy brings jealousy.
Yeah, like being jealous of someone of like, oh, they've got this, whatever that thing is. Like that's a totally fine thing to have. But I think what you're going at is like, if you're going to be jealous to the point, or they're going to be jealous to the point of like sabotaging you. Right. So rather than bring themselves up, they would rather bring you down.
Well, and right now when people around me have success, like I am literally joyful for it. I am happy for it. Like if someone does something, I don't care if they're better than me. It's not about me. I'm not even involved. If they're successful, it makes me happy. If someone has an idea, I'm like, damn, dude, go for it.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man.
Or someone comes in and talks to me. Well, it's the same thing with like David Young with Golden Sheaf. When he came in, he was telling me, I'm like, dude, that is freaking awesome. Like, he's just telling me a story. I'm like, that is awesome.
Right. Well, that's cool. Like anyone off topic, but anyone that's like super passionate about something and really fucking good at something, I don't give a shit if it's like origami or making bourbon. Like I think that's like cup stacking. Have you guys seen that shit?
Those kids are so fast. It's fucking crazy.
It's so fucking cool, right? But like anyone who's that passionate about something and like that good at anything, I'm just in awe of. Like that is just so fucking cool to see something like that.
Yeah, I've always had any of my friends that have been successful, and I have a friend, and I won't put any names. So they've been working hard. They grew their business. They bought a new vehicle. Amber and I thought it was fucking awesome. Bought their like dream vehicle they wanted, and I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Good for you. One of their other friends was like, oh, I thought about buying that, but oh, okay. It was like a whole jealousy thing, and I was like, who wants that kind of friend? Or if they're like, oh, it must be nice. And like, is that Rob Bailey talks about that? He parked his truck, and some kid's like, oh, it must be nice. He's like, yeah, you're fucking right. It is nice. But yeah, it's also, they don't, and if anybody knows the story of like Rob Bailey and the whole Flag Nor Fail and his kind of come up, but yeah, he's like, yeah, it is nice. But yeah, they don't pay attention to the other stuff that it took to get, right, where you're at.
Yeah, because you see the Instagram highlights, like you see where they're at. I mean, and some people...
You see the truck, you didn't see the Pinto they drove when they started.
And he was always pretty good about, like, Rob, it was always pretty good. Like, he had that video way back when they started Flag Nor Fail, and it was just like a time lapse of him printing shirts for like 20 hours straight or something like that. Like, just out in like a shitty in his garage or whatever he was doing, and it's like, yeah, you know why you don't have this truck? Because you didn't want to print t-shirts for fucking 20 hours straight.
Right.
Or you don't have a business because you didn't want to work open to close to get it going.
Yeah.
Everybody sees where someone's at, and they're like, well, I can do that. Can you? I'm not saying you can't.
Right, but like you have to be ready. Like to be ultra successful, like, there is a component of luck that comes into it, like right time, right place. But
there's luck for sure.
The biggest piece of it is like, are you ready for it? And if you're not out there grinding, doing shit, like ready for that, because that moment of luck's going to come around, and it's going to be there, and it's going to be gone. And you're either ready for it or you're not. And if you're not ready, then it's going to pass you by. You're not even going to know.
I think people have a misconception, though, that only certain people are lucky. I think everybody has those opportunities.
Yeah, they're there. They're there in different degrees, 100%.
Yes, it's just whether you take it or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fear you don't take it. Sometimes you're not ready to take it. Sometimes you haven't positioned yourself to take it. If someone comes in, it's like, hey, you want to buy this business? It's like, well, if you haven't positioned yourself to be able to buy it.
Right.
And then it turns into a $10 million business. Well, you had I was unlucky, or you weren't prepared,
right?
Or you didn't have the hustle to I'll figure.
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
I'll figure out. I will sell everything I have.
I don't know how, but yes,
right. So risk taking, people who want to go, you have to want to be successful, and a lot of people want to, or they say they want to, but they don't want to put, like you said, the sacrifice in.
Well, they want the rewards of being success, and
they don't want the work of it.
Whatever. I would say this also, and you could probably agree also with your businesses, that no matter, people want to talk about, oh, well, I didn't have the money to start that, or I didn't have this or whatever. Okay. As far as money goes, whatever money you put into it, you're going to put probably 10 times as much sweat equity into it. You're going to, like when we opened the gym, we put money into it, and then we were also here, like open to close, like every day. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. You're going to take that like 10 times whatever you think the investment is, just in your own blood, sweat, and tears. And you're going to miss events. You're going to, all kinds of shit. You're not going to be able to go do things.
Your friends are going to be going out and doing things, and you're not going to be able to do them.
I mean, how many people I've they don't think about like, hey, you want to go to lunch? No, dude, I can't leave the gym. What are you talking about? I can't leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so
people to this day, they'd be like, I'm in retail, which means that I can't work from home. I kind of have to be here. Like, if you want to bring me lunch, go ahead.
Right. Like, if you'd like to come here, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
So overall, chase success, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be business, whether it's in education or fitness, whatever you want, origami.
Well, and I also think it's important to have that partner, that wife.
Super cool.
For us, that wife, or, if you're a female or your husband or whatever, like to have that partner that helps you get there, because you never get there. You very rarely see someone successful or someone who's doing well without it, like that partner with them. Like you need that other half. It's also that person, like you said, to tell you, hey, you're a fucking idiot, because sometimes that's the person who can. Like, maybe you don't want to, like, oh, I kind of think Tanner's an idiot right now. I'm sure Nicole will tell him.
Again, honestly, and you're like I said, you're not going to like it, and you probably won't even tell them that you like it, but you're probably going to take something from it and make a change to the plan you had.
And she would totally show up with a tarp and a shovel and her truck.
Well, somebody's going to have the truck, yeah.
And can you bring the truck?
Can you bring the truck?
And kind of the thing too that Matt said when we were talking about that circle of friends, and I said it like a long time ago, and I think actually Alexis has it tattooed, that not all family's blood.
No.
I have some friends that, and not my family at all. I have a great family, but sometimes some friends will do way more for you than your family would.
Well, have you ever seen, so your friends that you've had for, like, let's just say like childhood friends, like you still have the people, or your family view you in a certain way, and the rest of the world views you as not. So like I was never like super handy growing up. Like I was the jock, right? I was one that playing sports. I was one that was outside riding the bike. My brothers were the ones that were, being mechanical and doing book smart. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten really good at the shit. But if you ask my family, like, oh no, you can't do shit. No. Like I built a fucking 600 square foot deck on my house by myself. like I can still do that.
We haven't seen it to know how shitty it is or not, I guess.
I mean, you can come out. I was actually, so here's a part of a little bit of fear. I was like, maybe I'll have the guys out when I do this tenderloin, but maybe I don't want to see it.
I don't want that feedback.
They're going to be all fucking judgy. Brett's going to think my freaking Traeger's dirty.
But you know what? I'm sure Nicole will save you with some baked goods.
Yeah.
From your harvest wheat germ that you've turned into flour or whatever you kids are doing.
Have you got that yet?
No, but she has me convinced that I think we're planting wheat on our back fence.
Nice.
Oh my God. We were planting stuff you can until like, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock last night. I'm out there with a freaking flashlight. Freaking stupid. I mean, I love it. I actually really do like it. I like it. I'm just like...
Yeah, probably anything you can be down on your knees doing. I bet you like that.
I have raised beds, bitch.
I bet all of them aren't.
No. I was definitely on my knees.
Do you have one of those little garden mats that the ladies carry?
I don't.
Oh. Those are probably pretty nice.
I probably should.
They're probably pretty nice. I mean, your knees are probably so calloused from all the other stuff you do on them.
But I'm like, Friday night, what are you guys doing? Gardening? We're super cool.
That's more than I did.
Yeah.
But I think personal excellence is something everybody should strive for no matter what it's in. Being self-sufficient, just being a good human is, being a good person costs you nothing.
At the end of the day, you have your inner circle. That's who you have to depend on.
Yeah.
If you're depending on a bunch of other outside sources for your happiness or for your health,
right,
or for your well-being or for your food or for whatever, the more independent you are, I think the happier you are, because I don't have to ask you for anything. I don't have to wait for the government to send me a check. I don't have to do any of that. I'm taking care of it myself. I think you're just more happy the more independent you are.
Well, and that's literally why and how some people just live off of social media. Like, sure, everybody posts something because you want to put it out there. You want somebody to tell you good job. But if that's the only, like, the sole accolades you look for all the time, you need to get past that, because you can't live and breathe off of now, unless you do make your living off social media. And there are people who do that.
Yeah.
Right. But I still think that you should have a separation, right? Like, if you're making your living off of there, that's different. Like, if your individuality is still based on social media and your likes, and that's how you've defined yourself as the person, I think you're still in for a rough go. If
you're reliant on everyone else telling you how great you are, or that you're good, and you don't have that within, or within your close circle. Because your close circle, like, if you think you're really good at something, your close circle will let you know if you're not.
Right.
If they're honest, yeah.
If they're honest, and they should be. Your close circle should be honest.
Yeah, don't make your inner circle a bunch of yes people.
So there's a guy that I know in business, and he's surrounded by yes people. I know he is without actually knowing he is. I know he is because of what he does. I'm like, you need some people to tell you fucking no. And I told him this. I was like, you have too many people telling you yes. You need some people to tell you no. You need some people to challenge you because what you're doing right now is short term and it's not going to fucking work.
Well, and a perfect example of somebody like we've talked about Trump before. You know that guy doesn't have yes people because that guy will say something funny as shit that's probably really assholey sometimes too, and not the best shit to say. But you give him credit because he's not just like, even when he was president, he's not just listening to like, well, my speechwriter told me to say this. No, he's gonna be like, that guy's a loser. Like, but you know what? At least he's not surrounded by yes people that are just telling him it's great, you know. And he marches to the beat of his own drum.
The most frustrating job ever was probably the person who wrote Trump's speeches knowing they were never going to be said.
They probably just wrote, you do you, boo.
Yeah.
They like give him like a bullet point. They're like, and go.
Well, you know, he didn't, and I'm sure in business, he never conformed to what he did his own thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's doing your own thing, you know, don't just like listen to what everybody else says.
Well, I mean, it's like Elon or anybody, Bezos or like
Elon also just says some of the craziest shit too.
Steve Jobs, like the guy went on like a 3-year asset sabbatical or something. Like everyone goes. I mean, greatness happens from all different angles. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of just where your drive is, and I think when you have those people with that drive, it always ends up there's a reason that they're headed in a certain direction.
Yeah. I think in closing, start your personal excellence. Just start, you know, being in shape, be healthy, be smart. What else?
Read a book.
Well, I think that kind of goes in the be smart part, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just try to be better.
The more you know.
The more you know.
It's all the way down there. Nailed it. Right.
You're going to have to move that button up.
All right, guys.
A 5-second delay.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, you know, take what you want from that. You should take a lot from it. You know, listen to some of Andy Frisella stuff also. Read some of Ed Milet stuff. What'd you say? The Way
of Men is really good. I've handed it off to a lot of guys.
Does it work for women too?
It kind of. I know a couple women that have read it.
What about lesbians?
And they were like, I don't get maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I still think it's still pretty good. I think it's a good read for ladies, but definitely for
men.
For men. I mean, it is for men.
We are different.
And not every like entrepreneur or self-help book means you're like some kind of loser piece of shit. You're just trying to be better at something.
Like there's a fantastic book by Paulo Coelho, I think.
Apollo Creed?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a Brazilian author, and it's called The Alchemist, and it's a really fucking good book on dreams and following your dreams and kind of being ready for luck to strike.
There's a ton of good books, like the E-Myth Revisited, and that was actually the entrepreneurial myth because it was before like e-commerce. So it's
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good book. There's a ton of books out there. Like you said, be smart. I have really tried, actually, mainly because of what the 75 Hard and you reading a book. I'm like, I don't read. Like, I'm not a paper book person. I will be zoned off. My ADD kicks in. I'm thinking about something else. But I'm really good at listening. So like I put it in a car and I've been listening to books over and over, like different books. And it really just gets your mind going again.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with trying to learn new things always.
And it's like there's been a number of books that were recommended that I started reading and just like blow through. Like I read a lot of professional development books just because of the professional environment I work in. And I would say if it's a 300-page book, 70 pages are worthwhile. So like if you're reading through a book and there's some stuff that's kind of monotonous, like you don't have to read cover to cover. Like I can't. Until 75 Hard, I don't remember the last book that like I really read cover to cover because you can kind of go through them and take stuff out. But like it's cool to go through them and just pick stuff out that you like. You don't have to take every single thing out of them. Not all of them are just this revolutionary, like, oh my God, that's going to fucking change my life. Some of them are just kind of entertaining with a little bit of stuff in there. And some of them, like Way of Men for me was one that like I read and that one was life altering. That one was like, oh shit.
Well, like what Brett says, like the things that overlap.
Yeah.
You know, we talk any training books, and a lot of those, if you read like training books or any of these.
Yeah.
The first probably third of the books are always the same.
Yeah.
And then you get
On
that
my
middle
fitness
part,
journey.
and then the end of it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, take from this what you will. We just want everybody to be a little less shitty every
Yeah.
day.
And if you guys have any recommendations for books,
Yeah.
Post
throw-
them.
yeah, throw
Post them in
those
the
out
comments.
there.
Yeah. Post them. And like I said, I'll keep trying to get Andy to do our podcast.
Yep. And if you guys are curious about books or want any, post that out there and we'll drop some books that maybe the three of us have read and liked.
Probably more Matt than me, for sure.
We'll put your name on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brett really likes.
Yeah. These two.
P is for pterodactyl.
Well, yeah.
That's also a children's book we give to all of our friends.
Yes. Getting smarter. All right, guys. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you later.